Report powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. Coming up on today's show, we'll go over the latest news and rumors on your Kansas City Chiefs as we have a full report to get to from ESPN on how the Chiefs are going to dominate for the next decade with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Brett Veach, and Clark Hunt leading the way. We'll talk about that coming up in just a bit. Also on the program today, we will be talking about Brett Veach's last two trades, how he's done it again. He's a genius that makes everything merry around here. Also talk about the Chiefs and Bucs matchup. We'll preview that game, and then we'll do a Q&A rumors mailbag before the end of the show. Make sure to get your questions in using hashtag Chiefs or Super Chatting to get on today's show. Super Chats will get priority, but we'd love to hear from everybody today. I see Paul and Tony and Braxton and Bill already checking in the chat. Hydration. Get those questions in now, and that'll make our lives easier for when we get to that mailbag segment. As you guys file in, shout out your city. We'll shout you out. Drop the location pin from your Apple map into the chat right now. Let us know where you're watching from. I got Tony checking in from El Paso. I can always count on Tony. Good to see you, Tony. I got Bill in McPherson, Kansas. There is no fear in McPherson. I got Craig in St. Joe, Missouri. They call that the Topeka of Missouri. Hopefully you're surviving in St. Joe, Craig. I got Foster in Camden, New Jersey. Got Chris in Ohio. I got Gabe in Gresham, Oregon. I got Claxey in Wisconsin. I got Paul in Tonganoxie, Kansas. Paul, what are you doing in Tongi? Go hang out in Lawrence. There's not much to do in Tongi. Herms is in Wichita. Jay is in Reading, Pennsylvania. Hector in Phoenix. I got Mike in Chicago. James in Bentonville, Arkansas. The home of what major corporation, Tex? Got any guesses what's in Bentonville?
Walmart?
Yes!
Let's go!
Let's go, Tex. Tex knows ball. He knows Walmart. I love Walmart, to be honest with you. We got Joe in El Paso, Texas. I got Paul in Lakeland, Florida. Also checking in the chat. We're coming at you from the Chat Sports Studios here in downtown Dallas, Texas on this fine Tuesday afternoon. And before we go any further in today's show, I got a little challenge I want to put out there to the kingdom today. Who can name the most Chiefs defensive linemen all time? How many Chiefs defensive linemen can you come up with? A little challenge out there. I'm not going to give any hints. Tex isn't going to give any hints either. We want to see, we'll circle back here in a moment, who in their one individual comment can come up with the most Chiefs defensive linemen. Get those answers in the chat, and we'll see who can come up with the most here in just a moment. While we wait on that, let's tell you about today's sponsor. That is Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Whether you're looking for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more, Game Time has got you covered, including tickets to see your Kansas City Chiefs. You choose the event you want to go to. They got the prices listed. You choose your seat with their seat views. They get the visual, see what that seat is like with that 3D look. And then you're checking out with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Game Time, I got to tell you, I love using Game Time. I found some great deals with Game Time. You can find some great deals too, especially when you are looking for those last-minute tickets. As it gets closer to game time, the prices go down, folks. And for a limited time, we are offering $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. First purchase only when you use the promo code ChatSports at checkout. That's promo code ChatSports for $20 off. Game Time. What time is it? Game time. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. As Big Tex joins me right now, we will get the chat popping a little bit. All right, got 85 people tuned in. I would love to see some more people join us as we haven't even technically started this show just yet. The official start time is 4:30, but still a good audience already. We want to let everybody know that we're here just a little bit early as I got Tex on the ones and twos. Here he is making his first on-camera appearance today. I love the shades with the long hair. You got like the
well, they're blue light glasses, but I appreciate that.
The blue light glasses that with the way they're dimmed along with your hair, I get like that 70s show vibes today from Big Tex.
Hopefully the right character from that and the right actor and not the wrong one, if you know what I mean.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah.
I like the look.
Thanks, bro.
I feel like you need to hop on a motorcycle after this.
That'd be pretty dope.
Have you ever rode a motorcycle before?
I've rode on the back of a Harley and a Kawasaki Ninja.
Okay.
Which was terrifying because it's a crotch rocket, but yeah, it's fast. But yeah, both.
So if you want a shout out from Big Tex, and let's see who's going to be the early favorite to be MVP of today's show, spam C in the chat, and let's get this thing going. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's go. Tony, Riley. Tony, Riley. Tony.
So far, just Tony and Riley. Where's
Let's
everybody else at?
Come on, Chiefs Kingdom. Stand up. Tony, Riley, Bill, Gabe, Tony, Gabe, Tony, Paul, Riley. There we go. Let's go. Don't stop. Paul, Tony, Guillermo. I see you in there. Tony, Riley, Guillermo, Hector, Tony, Riley, Paul, Riley, Guillermo, Gabe, Herms, Craig, Riley, Hector, Guillermo, Hector, Paul, Guillermo, Paul, Craig, excuse me, Gabe, Tony, Gabe, Guillermo, Riley, Paul, Gabe, Riley, Paul, Hector, Gabe, Riley, Paul, Tony. I can't tell who's winning. That's the big five. Hector, Paul, Frank. That's a new one. Riley.
10 seconds left.
Sheldon, Guillermo, Riley, Hector, Bill, Paul, Tony, Nafis, Gabe, Paul, Hector, Jeff, Joseph, Paul, Sheldon, Gabe, Hector.
There we
5
go.
seconds. Good stuff.
Nice work, everybody. Thanks for getting in the chat, getting this thing going already. And the audience grew quite a bit just with you guys getting active in the chat like that. If you're ready to start today's show, like the video. I'm at 23 likes right now. I need to get to 40 to get this show off and rolling today. If you love your Kansas City Chiefs, if you want to see this Chiefs team win another Super Bowl, if you're glad to be hanging out here on the Chiefs Report, bringing you free live coverage, hit that like button. Tony says, Big Tex, any more exercise advice? I need more. You've come to the right man.
Yeah. Make sure you do a lot of dynamic stretching and foam rolling before you weight lift. It helps your body to not get as injured or injury prone while you're working out, and it also helps with your post-workout recovery, doing it before and after. There's a Big Texas fitness tidbit for you.
Okay, there you go. I know Tony doesn't miss leg day. He's all about leg day. And Tony says for sure, so he's going to take your advice. That's good to hear. Good to hear, Tony. Tony, what kind of workout are you getting in today? What are you getting in today? Tex, did you already hit the gym today, or is that after work?
Oh, no. That's before. I got to do it. I got to do it early morning, get it out of the way. I forced myself to get into that routine. Now I can't, escape it, if you will.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard.
It kind of relaxes your body for the rest of the day if you do the morning workout.
Yeah, in a way, but it also, and it does do that, but it also energizes your brain because of the stimuli that you had while working out, the focus. It's a lasting impact. It feels like not a head rush, but like a nice, natural adrenaline rush to the head that keeps you focused longer throughout the day. You have mental clarity when you work out in the morning too, which is nice.
Mind over matter, as they say.
Mind over matter. The body will achieve what the mind perceives.
4 more likes to go before we start the show. While we're waiting on the 4 likes, here's the Super Chat menu. If you would like to get involved and take part in today's program, here's how you can do so. $sign next to the chat box if you'd like to contribute. First time Super Chat, you'll get the KC chant. $5 Super Chat, we'll sing you the Mahomes song. $10 Super Chat, we'll do some shots. $20 Super Chat, we'll get Bean Boozled with the Spicy Jelly Bean. $50 Super Chat, we will do a beer bong here on today's show. And if we reach $200, we'll do a boot. So that is the offer that stands. If you would like to take part in the show and contribute, support the work we're doing, bring you free Chiefs content, then send us a Super Chat. It'd be greatly appreciated. Whoever sends in the first Super Chat of the day, we're going to go crazy. We're going to show you some love for whoever sends in that first Super Chat. All right, we reached 40 likes, so we can get this show started. Here is what's coming up on today's show. We'll go over the latest news and rumors as we get a new report from Espen about the Chiefs' future. Chat, what was that Adam Sandler movie where he named his kid Espen after ESPN?
Not Heritage. It's close to that word. It's Blended.
Blended, yes. Blended. Very good movie. He takes his date to Hooters in the opening scene. Yeah. That Yes, along with 80s music and a Dan Patrick cameo appearance. You can always count on that in an Adam Sandler movie. Brett Veach does it again. Our fearless leader will tell you about the moves that he's been wheeling and dealing and catch you up to speed on that. Also, we'll preview the Chiefs matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which we'll be live for coming up on Monday night. I'll be here. Big Tex will be here as we root on the Chiefs to victory as they will try to get to 8-0 on the season. And then we'll also answer your questions. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. That'll be our final segment. So make sure you get those questions in. I see Bill is using hashtag Chiefs to tell people to go subscribe. Hey, I love that. Subscribe to the channel. You know what's up. By the way, I think Braxton had the most defensive linemen. I see him named Karlaftis, Mike Dana, Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, Charles Omenihu, Deshaun Wharton, King Felix, Matt Dickerson, and Malik Dickerson. So thank you for that, Braxton. Oh, first Super Chat of the day. Brian Hudson gets this thing started, and we'll include this in the mailbag segment too. Brian, we'll sing you the Mahomes song for this. He says, with a $5 Super Chat, bring in a new left tackle to extend that run. Yeah, Wanya Morris struggled last week. Obviously, we saw Kingsley didn't look so great when he started the season. Yeah, David Bakhtiari's still available. He's still sitting out there. So, Brian, everybody spam Brian in the chat. Brian with that $5 Super Chat. I will cheers to you, my Coke saddle, for Brian. Thank you for that Super Chat, Brian. Spam Brian in the chat. Go Chiefs. Thanks for that $5 Super Chat. Now we'll sing you the Mahomes song. Brian, we'll include this in the mailbag. Take me home, Pat Mahomes, to the place we belong, Kansas City, to New Orleans. Take me home, Pat Mahomes. We'll do it again. We will do it again, folks. Chiefs are going all the way. You better believe it. This is going to be our year. I can feel it. In fact, this is going to be our decade, which leads us into the next segment, as we will talk about the latest report from ESPN explaining why the Chiefs will dominate the next decade. Buckle in, folks. It is going to be a lot of fun if you are a Chiefs fan for the next decade plus. We'll explain why of this new report from ESPN. That is coming up next as we get started here on this live edition of the Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones, Big Tex here with you. Thanks for joining us. Let's begin with our first segment starting right now. Coming up on today's show, we will talk about a new report from ESPN which outlines why the Kansas City Chiefs will dominate the National Football League for the next decade. We will go over 5 specific reasons laid out by ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, and we'll let you hear from the likes of Clark Hunt to some NFL executives of what they had to say about Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Brett Veach and company. All that and more coming up in just a matter of moments. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. If you want the Chiefs to dominate for the next decade, I know you do. Of course you do. Then like the video. Hit that like button for domination, for total domination. Hit that like button, and we'll get started with today's show. Jeremy Fowler does an awesome job covering the NFL for ESPN, and he's been very fair in his coverage of the Kansas City Chiefs over the years. And he did a really fine job with this piece that he put together on Tuesday morning, talking about the Chiefs' future and how they are in great shape to really just dominate the National Football League for many years to come. And he laid out 5 reasons why. Number 1, let's start with the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Well, he's only 29 years old. 29 and feeling fine, Patrick Mahomes is, as he's really just now in the prime years of his career at this point. You think about Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, those guys playing into their 40s. You got to think that Patrick Mahomes has those type of goals in mind to play at a high level for a long time. He's under contract until 2031, which is still a while from now. And it's also worth noting that said contract, it's very reasonable compared to the rest of the NFL quarterback market of what guys are being paid. That contract is not holding this team back at all. It's a very team-friendly deal that Mahomes is on, despite it being record-setting at the time that he signed it. And then the head coach, Andy Reid. Andy Reid has done a fantastic job with the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the greatest coaches in the history of the game, and he has no plans to retire anytime soon. Despite Andy getting older, and there have been questions raised about his health, it doesn't seem like he has any plans to step aside. And then on top of that, with as good as this Chiefs team is, players want to be here with this Kansas City Chiefs organization, whether it's guys trying to stick around or guys that want to get here via trade or free agency or rookies. This is a popular place to be, is with this Kansas City Chiefs organization right now. They got that going for them. Former Eagles president Joe Banner weighed in on Patrick Mahomes' contract situation, and he said the following: "It's a gift. Having the most important player under contract for the long term and planning around that is a massive advantage." Mahomes' contract is 10 years, $450 million. It was record-setting at the time, but since then we've seen quarterbacks get paid a whole lot more money, and Patrick Mahomes is not being paid the money of what he's really worth at this juncture in the National Football League. And it's still something that Clark Hunt just adores from his quarterback, that he was willing to do this deal and how they've made this work. Clark Hunt said this in the article with ESPN. "Patrick is about winning. That's one of his greatest qualities. It's not about him, but about the football team and what he can do to help us win championships. When we went into the contract in 2020, we knew we were going to have to adjust it, and we did that a year ago. We brought up his current compensation, so he was in line with the newer quarterback deals. That was certainly part of the deal from the beginning." Mahomes did the Chiefs a huge favor with his contract. And I think one good example that the Chiefs are following is similar to what the Patriots did with Tom Brady. Now, granted, Tom Brady signed shorter-term contracts, but he was always looking to help out the team, taking less money so they could spend on other players and continue to win championships. Mahomes, with this contract situation, has created so much flexibility. They have him locked up. They don't have to worry about the quarterback. And it allows them to be able to tinker with this roster as they see fit, what they need to do. It's a phenomenal deal that I think we kind of forget about at times of how impactful it is for this Kansas City Chiefs team. Now, this next question, our pinned comment today that I want to ask you guys, I feel almost guilty asking this question. No other show at Chat Sports can ask this question. No other NFL, NBA show, anything can ask this. How many Super Bowls will the Chiefs win in the next decade? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're spoiled, aren't we? We're a little spoiled here. How many Super Bowls are they going to win in the next decade? Get your comments in the comments section and let us know. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Whether you're looking for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more, including to see your Kansas City Chiefs, we got you covered. You choose the event you want to go to. They got the prices listed. Then you choose your seat with their seat views. You get the 3D effect. And then you're checking out on Game Time with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Game Time's got a great deal that they are offering, folks. If you use the promo code CHATSPORTS, you will save $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. First purchase only, folks. And I got to tell you, one of the things I love about Game Time is those last-minute deals. Maybe you're waiting at the last moment to see if your girlfriend's going to go let you take the boys to go see the Chiefs play. Well, with Game Time, the good news for you is the prices get lower the closer it gets to kickoff. So, what are you waiting for? Download Game Time today. Get that $20 off with the promo code CHATSPORTS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Game Time, proud partner of the Chiefs Report. What time is it? Game time. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Now, going forward, one of the things that this Kansas City Chiefs team has going for them is that they are in a position of strength, not just having Patrick Mahomes in his team-friendly contract, but also when you factor in they have a Hall of Fame coach in Andy Reid, and that they are in a run that everybody wants to be a part of. And with that in mind, you are in a position where you've earned the trust of management, where they can make the decisions of, you know what, we don't have to keep this player, or we can go ahead and take that gamble and bring in this player as they see fit, that they have essentially all the power. Former NFL executive Michael Haiku had this to say on the Kansas City Chiefs in the article with ESPN. When you win Super Bowls, you feel like you have more leverage than teams that are constantly trying to woo people to their organization. That's a strategy of theirs they've used to leverage players. Players want to be in Kansas City. And this team, to Brett Veach's credit, besides just the obvious of Patrick Mahomes, they have drafted very well. And they can be trusted on what players they want to keep and what players they want to move on from. And they've made some difficult decisions, but it's worked out for them for the most part. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN saying this: that leads to a hallmark under the Chiefs' current regime, the willingness to move on from marquee players before their contracts restrict the salary cap. As one team source put it, the ability to eliminate emotional ties and make sound decisions has been a critical component of Kansas City's success. And we mentioned the comparison to the Patriots. What did Bill Belichick always do? He would rather move on from a player a year too early than a year too late. And we're seeing that with the Chiefs. Remember that Tyreek Hill trade? That was a risk. All of us were sitting here saying, oh boy, you just let go of a generational receiver. What are you going to do about that? And the very next year they won the Super Bowl, and the year after they won the Super Bowl. Worked out fine. The L'Jarius Sneed trade last offseason, that was a risk. L'Jarius Sneed was just starting to enter his prime, come into his own, looked like one of the best corners in football. And so far, you fast forward to this year, this team's 7-0. They've been a little banged up in the secondary, but it looks like they're still going to be okay even without L'Jarius Sneed. They've taken some risk. They've made some tough decisions, and it still has worked out for them. More from former NFL executive Michael Haiku. He says this: the mistake most teams make is they cling to their stars, and they do it at the expense of developing young players. When you have effective drafts, you're not beholden to your best players and the financial demands. And that's exactly right. Kansas City, through their GM Brett Veach and Andy Reid, with the decisions they've made, they've earned the right to be trusted. They are right more times than they are wrong. Are they perfect? No. Nobody's perfect. But for the most part, the track record speaks for itself of how they've managed these situations and where they're going to go from here. And that's a big reason why they're in position to dominate for a long time. Who is going to be the next big-name Chiefs player to leave? You can't keep everybody. Who's going to walk out that door next? Get in the comment section, let us know who you think will be that guy that leaves Kansas City next. For the best Chiefs content you won't find anywhere else, you got to subscribe to the Chiefs Report, as we are bringing you daily news and rumors. We're live on most game days. We're doing our live shows on Tuesday afternoons. We're also bringing you breaking news, Q&A mailbags. It's all right here on the Chiefs Report. If you are a diehard Chiefs fan, you got to subscribe to the Chiefs Report. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV to subscribe for free today. You'll be glad you did. All right, the last point that we want to touch on today is the future of Andy Reid. It's no secret he is an older guy, and the retirement rumblings have been out there. How much longer does Andy want to do this? And Chiefs owner Clark Hunt has made it known, and he said so in this article with ESPN, that he is of the belief, all indications are Andy Reid is not retiring anytime soon. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN saying this: here Reid sits in 2024 at age 66, with zero signs of slowing. Hunt told ESPN that Reid, by all accounts, is in good health, could absolutely be the Chiefs coach for another 5 years. Reid doesn't drink or smoke and works on football nearly year-round. Now, as long as Andy's in good health, and that's a big if, he is getting older. We all decline at some point. Then there's no reason for Andy to step away while the Chiefs have this good thing going. I mean, you think about people his age, and I know we got people his age that are watching right now. If you're Andy Reid, would you rather be winning championships or hanging on the golf course and being with your bratty grandkids? I don't know if he's got bratty grandkids. That's a joke. Don't get after me for that. But, I mean, he's got a good thing going. Mahomes is there. They're winning titles. Why would you step away from that? There's just no reason to leave a good thing as long as everything else is going good for Andy Reid at this point. Clark Hunt saying this on Andy Reid. He certainly seems rejuvenated, I would say, by the success of the team in the last few years and having one of the most special quarterbacks of all time. I have no sense that he has any interest in retiring anytime soon, which is fantastic. The formula is simple for this Chiefs team. Clark Hunt, Brett Veach, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes equals dynasty. And there's no reason why this isn't going to slow down. And I know some of you are going to bring up, what about the future of Travis Kelce? What about when Chris Jones eventually gets older? Well, Chiefs' track record shows that they'll be ready for when that time comes, when those decisions are to be made, that the next guy will be ready to go. So I'm not concerned about that. They got the right decision makers. They got the right people in place for this team to be very good for a long time. When will Andy Reid retire? I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. Is it 5 years from now? Is it 10 years from now? When is it? Let us know in the comment section when you think Andy's going to step aside. If you enjoyed today's show, you want the Chiefs to keep on dominating, like the video. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time here at the Chiefs Report. All right. One down, 3 more segments to go. How many Super Bowls will the Chiefs win in this next decade? And I see a chat that's very optimistic. Tony says 7. MS says 3. Bill says 8. Riley says 4 to 5. Frank says 6. JJ says 7. Paul says 8. Let's see. Bill says 8. Turco says 6. Craig says 2 to 3. DFN Lone Wolf says 3. Tex, even if you win 3 in the next decade, you're still dominating the decade. Like, if you win 3 more. But with the way everything's shaped out, call me crazy. I think that they can win at least 4 in this next decade. I mean, as long as that formula is still there, who's stopping these guys? As crazy as it sounds, like 4 more? Yeah, they can do it, I think, 4 more. How many do you think is the number for the Chiefs in this next decade?
I'll give you a range. I'd say floor, 3, ceiling, 6.
Could you imagine if they win 6 Super Bowls in 10 years? And they've already won 3.
It's very possible.
That's crazy. Especially considering, like, the NFL, traditionally speaking, has the most parity of any of the leagues in professional sports. And yet we're still talking about this team dominating the way that they do. It's just unbelievable. Braxton says 5 in the next decade. Super Chat menu, if you would like to get on today's program. First-time Super Chatters, you get the KC chant. $5 Super Chat, we'll do the Mahomes song for you. $10 Super Chat, we'll take some shots. $20 Super Chat, we'll do the spicy jelly bean. And $50 Super Chat, we will do a beer bong. A reminder, get your questions in for the mailbag. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of the show. That will be our final segment. Up next, let's talk about this guy who you'll see on my screen here in just a moment. Brett Veach. He's done it again, folks. This man's a witch in a good way. Not like Sabrina, the teenage witch. She was a bitch. Like he's a good witch. He's the one, like, if you cast a spell, it's going to be a good one. He's not like a Jezebel or something like that, you know. We'll talk about Brett Veach and what he's done with his most recent trades. We'll catch up to speed on that. Coming up, in just a moment. We'll do our game preview, then our mailbag to follow after that. David says he's a wizard. Okay, yeah, that might be more appropriate. Tex, were you a big Wizards of Waverly Place guy?
Yeah, because my sisters really like Disney Channel and Nickelodeon, so it was Wizards of Waverly Place, Hannah Montana. I watched them all with them. Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, Sweet Life on Deck when they went to the
I bet Tony was a big Wizards of Waverly Place guy. I had a big crush on Selena Gomez growing up, so that's what got me into that
She's
show.
from Grand Prairie, I think, which is funny. Local.
I still have a crush on Selena Gomez all these years later. She's gotten better with age, like fine wine. Anyways, let's get started. Enough about my love for Selena. Let's talk about Brett Veach, and then we will continue on with our live edition of the Chiefs Report. Jonesy, Big Tex here with you. Let's go ahead and get started with segment 2 here on today's show. Begins right now. You're watching the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Our fearless leader, Brett Veach, has done it again. We will talk about the latest moves that Brett Veach has made, bringing in Josh Uche as well as DeAndre Hopkins, and the impact of both those moves for this Kansas City Chiefs team, and how on earth did he pull it off? We'll explain more coming up in just a moment. Before we do, folks, we're almost there. We're so close to 60,000 subscribers on the channel. Just over 150 away from reaching that mark. If you love the Kansas City Chiefs, you gotta be subscribed, folks. If it's the last thing you do, if you die tonight, make sure you subscribe to Chiefs Report first. We'll even take the dead accounts as far as I'm concerned. Subscribe now, youtube.com/ChiefsTV, and we'll get started with today's show. In Veach we trust. Salute to you, my friend. Brett Veach has done it once again with 2 awesome trades within the last week for the Kansas City Chiefs. The most recent move was acquiring edge rusher Josh Uche from the New England Patriots, and all he gave up was a 2026 6th-round pick. And then before that, you had the DeAndre Hopkins trade, where the Chiefs gave up a 4th or 5th conditional pick, depending on how the rest of the season plays out. Not a ton they gave up there for one of the better receivers in football who's coming off a 1,000-yard campaign. Veach is a magician, a wizard. I don't want to call him a witch because that's got a negative connotation, but you get the idea. The man is working wonders to pull these things off. Because you think about this. Must I remind you, folks, this Chiefs team, before these trades, had $4 million in cap space. That's it. And somehow they were able to get better at the wide receiver position. They were able to get better at the edge rusher position and add to a team that's already pretty dang good, right? Only undefeated team in football coming off back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. Yeah, the rich got richer with these moves here. Let's ask you, before we dissect these moves and the impact of these 2 players to this Chiefs team, is he the GOAT? Is he the GOAT? Brett Veach, like, I think he is. Type Y for yes, or take it a step further, type HY for hell yes. Show Veach some love in the comment section, and we'll continue here on today's show. We are sponsored by our friends at Prize Picks. You ever heard of Prize Picks? Well, that's where I come in. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, home runs in baseball, all sorts of different categories to choose from. And when you go to prizepicks.com/SailNS and use the promo code SailNS, they will give you, folks, $20, or actually they'll give you $5. When you use Prize Picks for the very first time, my friends, they will give you $50 when you spend $5. You don't have to win to get the money. It's that easy. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. This week on Prize Picks, folks, I'm going with JSN of the Seahawks to have more than 54.5 receiving yards. I also think Jameis Winston's going to throw an interception this week. I think that's pretty good odds. The guy struggles to play Madden. Play along with me. PricePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. So let's talk about Josh Uche. And I got to tell you, bringing in Uche was a low risk for Kansas City. I don't think that this was something that really cost them a whole lot with this idea of bringing in Josh Uche, of what he is adding to this Kansas City Chiefs team, of just giving up a sixth-round pick. A former second-round pick out of Michigan, career high of 11.5 sacks in 27 tackles in 2022. And this is somebody that was kind of phased out of the Patriots defense, and it kind of blows my mind why, because he's a good player. I mean, we mentioned the stats in 2022. You look even recently this year, he's already had a bit of a bounce back from what he did last year with 13 tackles, 2 TFLs, and 2 sacks. And you think about this. With the Chiefs bringing in Uche here, you're going to get Charles Omenihu back sooner than later as well. And the pass rush for Kansas City, I look at this team where the pass rush hasn't been great, but I think that we were all sitting here hoping, hey, Karlaftis is going to figure it out. King Felix, you hope, puts it together. He's a former first-round pick. You got Chris Jones there. You could probably ride with what you got and be okay. But this was something where it was too good to pass up. You mean I can get a guy that just had 11.5 sacks, it's still a young player on a cheap contract, and all I have to give up is a sixth-round pick in 2026? Yeah, I'll do that. The reality is the Chiefs' pass rush does need to wake up, though. And that's where Josh Uche could be a difference maker, is that this pass rush just hasn't done a whole lot at this point. I think they'll figure it out, but at least at the time being, it doesn't look great. The Chiefs' sack percentage right now is 6.15%. That's 22nd best in the NFL. That's not great. And they have the players, they have the athletes to do it with Karlaftis and Wharton and Jones and some of these other guys, but they just haven't been able to put it all together. Uche, another body, it certainly can't hurt this Chiefs team. We'll talk about the DeAndre Hopkins trade in just a moment, but want to hear from you guys. What was the better trade? Was it for Josh Uche or was it for DeAndre Hopkins? Type JU for Josh Uche. Type DH for DeAndre Hopkins. Let us know in the comments section. Now, when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins, let's talk about him for a moment. I think the main thing I'm looking for is be patient on this, folks. Everybody just kind of breathe for a second. This is going to take time with DeAndre Hopkins. So let me explain a little further. You go back to this past week against the Raiders when he was still trying to find his role, trying to learn the offense and all that. Had 2 catches for 28 yards. That's not anything earth-shattering by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not a bad first game from DeAndre Hopkins. But I still think that his best football is certainly in front of him. And it's not even for me about the next couple of weeks. It's about a few months from now. We'll explain more in a moment. We know the talent's there. 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro. He's going to have a case for the Hall of Fame someday. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins has been fantastic over the years in his career, and he's been successful everywhere. Started with the Texans, goes to the Cardinals, and even recently with the Titans. Last year, with that awful offense in Tennessee, he still accounted for over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns with Will Levis throwing him the football. Now, here's what I'm talking about when I say take it a step further. Think big picture with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins. All right? Big picture here. For the Kansas City Chiefs, this move to bring in DeAndre Hopkins is not about winning games in November. Although that wouldn't hurt, that'd be nice to keep the train moving. If he can make a difference in winning those November games, we'll take it. But this is about January and beyond that, of positioning the Chiefs to play their best football, to have guys that they can depend on when they're making that championship run. So if DeAndre Hopkins takes a few weeks to really start getting in his bag, as the kids say, that's fine with me, as long as he's there when it matters. Because here's what we're looking at, folks. In January, this is what the Chiefs' offense could potentially look like if everyone's healthy. Patrick Mahomes, you get Isaiah Pacheco back. with Kareem Hunt. Kareem's played pretty decent. Then DeAndre Hopkins, Xavier Worthy. After his rookie season, after the regular season, where hopefully he's all set and ready to go, you get a healthy Hollywood Brown for the first time this season. Oh, yeah. Remember that guy, Travis Kelce? He's got a great track record in the playoffs. He knows when to turn it on. And then Noah Gray's been solid as well. No one is stopping that offense in the postseason if everybody is there and everybody's healthy and playing at a high level. That's what we're looking at right now, is basically we need to get that team to January, and they'll take care of everything else from there. Do you believe DeAndre Hopkins will have a big impact on this Chiefs team? I believe that he will. What do you think? Type B for believe, D for don't. Chime in, let us know. For continuing Kansas City Chiefs coverage, subscribe now to the Chiefs Report for the latest happenings on your favorite team all season long. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right, we're halfway home. Better trade, DeAndre Hopkins or Josh Uche? That is our poll question. 80% of you saying Hopkins, 20% saying Josh Uche, as Big Tex rejoins me right now. Big Tex, what trade did you like better?
That's tough because
I liked both.
I like both, right? Honestly, when I look back at that last year he had with Tennessee, that showed me that Hopkins still has potential. So that one from an offensive standpoint, just because wide receivers kind of, for a lot of different reasons, somewhere, a question of concern still for the Chiefs. So I think that from an offensive standpoint could help Patrick Mahomes a lot. Once he, like you said, once you be patient with him and you let him develop, get in the system, get comfortable, I think he'll have a big impact on offense.
I think so. I think you're absolutely right about that. Which trade did you guys like better? Ty the Buckeye says D-Hop. Paul says D-Hop. Tony says D-Hop. Braxton says D-Hop definitely was the best move. Tony wants to know, Big Tex, is my question in the mailbag? I believe so, Tony. If you want to be like Tony and send in a question for the mailbag. Okay, yes, Tony, your question is in the mailbag. If you want to be like Tony and send in a question for the mailbag, use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. We'll do that mailbag segment coming up later on. In the meantime, here's the Super Chat menu. Super Chat questions get priority for the mailbag segment. $sign next to the chat box if you want to contribute. First-time Super Chatters get the KC chant. $5 Super Chat will sing you the Mahomes song. $10 Super Chat will do some shots. $20 Super Chat will give Bean Boozle with a spicy jelly bean. And then $50 Super Chat will do a beer ball. And we're at $5 right now. If we got to 200, I'd do a boot on the show. But we got a long ways to get there, so we'll see. Up next, game preview time. Chiefs and Bucs. Buck, yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yep. We will preview this matchup. I'll give you my keys to victory. We'll go over the injury report, and we'll also give you my prediction as well coming up in just a moment. Let's go ahead and get started. Segment 3. We're over halfway home. Chiefs and Bucs preview begins right now. It is week 9 in the National Football League. Monday Night Football. Dun-dun. The Kansas City Chiefs set to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A big game for both teams. The Chiefs looking to stay undefeated at 7-0. The Bucs trying to keep pace in the NFC South at 4-4. Coming up on today's program, we will go over my keys to victory. We'll go over the injury report. I also have my prediction for you in just a little while from right now. If you're ready for Chiefs game day, spam C in the comments section. I want to see at least 300 C's in the comments. I want you to get in this chat as if you're sitting in the seats there at Arrowhead Stadium. Make your voices heard loud and proud. Get those C's in the chat if you're ready for Chiefs game day, and we'll get started with today's show. Let's begin with the injury report for Kansas City. Juju, as of the time of this recording on Tuesday, is questionable with a hamstring injury. Mike Dana with the pec injury still remains questionable. And Najee Johnson with the concussion also questionable. We'll see about the status of those three if they play or not. Meanwhile, the Bucs are shorthanded as they lost Chris Godwin for the season. But also, that's not the only injury at the wide receiver position. Mike Evans with a hamstring is out. Greg Gaines, the defensive tackle with a calf injury, is questionable. Tyke Smith, their corner, with a concussion, is questionable. And then Levante David, their outside linebacker, is questionable with an ankle injury. So what's it going to take to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Let's start with their quarterback, Baker Mayfield. I love Baker Mayfield. I'll be honest with you. Big Tex is a huge Baker Mayfield fan as well. And his story is one of the best stories in all of football, going from a walk-on to earning a spot at Texas Tech as a true freshman. Then they don't give him a scholarship. He goes to Oklahoma, walks on there, ends up winning a Heisman Trophy, turns into the number 1 pick by the Cleveland Browns, takes them to the playoffs, wins a playoff game for the first time in a long time. They write him off and replace him with an accused rapist in Deshaun Watson. That didn't work out well for them. He goes to Carolina. They didn't give him much of a chance. He goes to the Rams and excels there. Goes to Tampa Bay, has to prove himself, and, took them to the playoffs and got rewarded with a nice contract. He's got an incredible story. But I know Baker as well as anybody out there, folks. And the thing with Baker that's been his biggest problem is he is prone to making mistakes. And he throws a decent number of interceptions. He's a bit of a gunslinger. He's got some Brett Favre in him. He has thrown 7 interceptions in the last 3 games. Baker's been very good this year. He's thrown 21 touchdowns, which is one of the highest marks in the entire NFL. But he's still throwing 9 interceptions. Completion percentage around 71%, over 2,100 yards. The easy way to slow down Bake is going to be to force him into making mistakes, which he is very prone to doing. Who do you got? You going with the Chiefs or you going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Type KC for Chiefs, type TB for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Get your predictions in now. I'll tell you my prediction later. You're about to get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. Let us know who you got. Next up for the Chiefs is feeding Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce last week against the Raiders showed why he's still one of the best tight ends in the National Football League. He had his best game of the season yet, 10 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown score. And when Travis Kelce's on, he's just unstoppable, folks. And this Chiefs offense, with the question marks we've seen with their receivers, with not having Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown, and we'll see about Juju and all that, and then not having Pacheco at the running back spot, there's still one guy the Chiefs can always count on that they need to turn to in times of need. That is Travis Kelce. And so far this year, got off to a slow start, but he's played some better football as of late. Don't slow it down. Keep feeding Travis Kelce. He still remains Patrick Mahomes' favorite target. Back to the Tampa side of things, and the guy that Baker is going to be focusing on, speaking of tight ends, is their starting tight end, Tyler Otten. And Otten's had a pretty good campaign in 2024. And if you're Kansas City, you have to minimize his impact. And you think about one of the weaknesses of this Kansas City Chiefs defense in 2024 has been their ability to cover the tight end position. That's something they struggled with. And Otten's coming in red hot right now. His last 2 games, he's had 17 catches for 181 yards and 2 touchdown scores. And with no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin, he is going to be, without question, the go-to target for Baker Mayfield. Here's what we're talking about here for Tyler Otten. So far this season, he's had 344 yards, 3 touchdowns off of 36 catches. The Chiefs have to do whatever it takes to try to slow down Tyler Otten there. Who will be the Chiefs MVP against the Buccaneers? Is it Mahomes? Is it Kelce? Is it somebody else? Get your predictions in now. Let us know who you think the MVP is going to be. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Whether you're looking for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more, Game Time has got you covered, folks. You choose the event you want to go to. Maybe it's a Kansas City Chiefs game. Maybe it's something else going on in Kansas City. The Nutcracker is going to be in town soon, folks. I know y'all love that. You choose the event you want to go to. They got the prices listed. And then you choose your seat with their seat views. You get the 3D visual. And then you're checking out with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. It's fast, simple, and easy. And Game Time has got a great offer, folks. They are giving you $20 off when you use the promo code ChatSports at checkout. Yes, you heard that right. Promo code ChatSports at checkout for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. And if it's a last-minute decision whether you want to go to the game or not, don't worry. The prices go down the closer it gets to kickoff. Download Game Time today. $20 off with promo code ChatSports. Terms apply. Game Time, proud partner of the Chiefs Report. What time is it? Game Time. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Now, this game on Monday night is going to feature two high-powered offenses. And if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, what I would advise is you don't fear a shootout. If this turns into a high-scoring affair, this Kansas City Chiefs team cannot back down as far as that goes. I think that they can obviously hang with anybody, but this Bucs team, think about this. The Chiefs defense is averaging about giving up 5.1 yards per play. That's fifth best in the NFL. Comparably speaking to the Bucs defense, they're averaging about 6.0 yards per play. That's 29th best in the NFL. So what that tells me, if I were to read a little bit further into that statistic, folks, what that is telling me is that, hey, if this turns into a shootout, the Chiefs defense has a significant advantage over the Bucs defense. If this is a 30 or 40 point affair, the Chiefs defense is going to get more stops than the Bucs defense will. That's what history tells us, that they have a significant advantage there. And here's what I mean as far as the Bucs defense of not fearing a shootout. This Bucs defense is cheeks. 28th in the NFL in opponents' points per game with 26.6. Opponents' yards per game, 387. That's 30th in the NFL. Opponents' points per play, 0.410, 26th best in the NFL. It's not pretty, folks. I can tell you that much when it comes to those defensive rankings. Here's more for you. Third down conversion rate, 38.78%. That's 19th best in the NFL. Still bottom half of the league, despite being higher than some of those other statistics that they have there. And then on top of that, they're allowing about 3 touchdowns per game. That's 27th best in the NFL. So if this is going to be a high-scoring affair, I like our chances. Last on our keys to victory, he is worthy, Xavier Worthy. Every week, I feel like the Chiefs need an X factor of some sort, somebody to come through that maybe doesn't come through every week. And I think we're getting hints with what the Chiefs have been doing with Xavier Worthy, that they have some good stuff in mind, that they are seeing that he can be trusted to take on a bigger role here. Think about this. The last 2 games, Xavier Worthy has had a total of 8 targets in each of those games. Did you know that's more than any other game this season? How about that? So, Xavier Worthy, ball's in your court. Let's see what he can do with it. Xavier Worthy, think about this. We know the receiving numbers. Not bad. 235 yards, 3 touchdowns, 19 catches. But also with the trickery stuff, when they've used him in the run game, and those gadget plays, similar to what they used to use with Tyreek Hill and all that, he's been effective in that sense too. So Xavier Worthy, whether it's the receiving game or the rushing game, whatever it may be, I want to see the ball in his hands. I want him to touch that ball, get his hands on it, and take off with that speed advantage that he has at pretty much everybody in the National Football League. I'll give you my prediction in a moment, but I want to know this. Do you believe in Xavier Worthy? I obviously do. I'm typing B. What are you typing? Type B for believe, D for don't, if you believe in Xavier Worthy or not. To recap, our keys to victory for your Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Force Baker Mayfield into making mistakes. He's very turnover prone. Feed Travis Kelce. He's one of the best of all time. Why would you not get him in the football? Minimize Tyler Otten's impact. He is Baker's go-to guy. They're shorthanded at the receiver spot. Need to take him away. Don't fear a shootout. If this turns into a high-scoring affair, Chiefs are in good shape, and get the ball to Xavier Worthy. Why? Because he is worthy. If the Chiefs do all these things, they'll be in good shape. I like Kansas City this week to keep the undefeated season going, alive and strong. 8-0 sounds nice, doesn't it? 34-24, a convincing 10-point win at home, which would cover the spread just enough. I like Kansas City here, 34-24. I think they're in good shape to get the job done. Folks, before we go, if you're ready for a Chiefs win, spam W in the comment section. I want to see all the W's in the chat if you're ready for a Chiefs win. If you're excited, if you want that Chiefs victory on Monday night, get those W's in the chat. We're going to be live on the Chiefs Report for Chiefs and Bucks here on the channel. I'll be here. Big Tex will be here. We will see you then. All right. One more segment to go. Our mailbag is coming up. Still need some more questions. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of the show. Who do you got? You going with the Chiefs or you going with the Bucks? Type KC for Chiefs. Type TB for the Buccaneers. To get your predictions in now, let us know how you think this game is going to play out. Yeah, I'm feeling good about the Chiefs this week. I will admit I did like giving Baker the credit he deserves. I think it's a great story, but I would love to add a bad chapter of that story with a loss for Baker and company this week. Who do you got? Chiefs or Bucks? Let us know. Tony's got the Chiefs 22-17. Bill's got the Chiefs. Don's got the Chiefs. Tony's telling people get in the mailbag. Yeah, Tony wants everybody to touch his bag. Get your mailbag questions in. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. I'm going to put about 2 minutes on the clock. Let's go with about 3 questions. I see one from David that's just come in. Thank you, David. David Buck. Any relation to Joe Buck? Joe Buck's going to be calling the game on ESPN on Monday night. I do love Joe Buck. And he's called a couple of Chiefs Super Bowls. Some great memories over the years. Let's see. That's a good trivia question. Who has called the Chiefs Super Bowls? The first one was Joe and the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman. The second one was Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson. And then the third Super Bowl win last year was Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. Let's see. David says he's not related to Joe Buck. He does get that question often, though. That's unfortunate. I wish I was related to Joe Buck. That'd be awesome. My career would have gone much further by now if my last name was Buck. Let's see here. Rice Worthy Pros with a question. Thank you for that. I need 2 more. I got a minute to go. I got the question from David. I got the question from Rice. Paul, you going to send me a question? Michael, you going to send me a question? Braxton, give me a question. Come on. I don't have all day. I want to get this show over with. Get me a question for the mailbag. That way we can get off here. Tony, I can always count on. There we go. David's got another. Give me one more. One more, and then we will get to this mailbag segment before we call it a day and wrap up. Chiefs and Bucks coming up on Monday night. Big Tex, you excited about that game Monday?
Oh, yeah, bro.
Patrick and Baker, a little old-school Big 12 showdown.
No doubt, bro. No doubt.
Do you remember that game they faced off Oklahoma and Texas Tech years ago?
Yes, and they scored it was 80 combined points or something like that.
It was like over 100, yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, it was like 55 to 48 or something like that. It was crazy.
I remember watching that game live, and I'm like, okay, this is cool, but part of it is gross because, this is just bad defense, too.
Yeah, it's just no defense back in the day. It's all offense. The Big 12 has shifted a lot.
Yeah, it has. Bill, you used 2 hashtags. Do it again and take away one of those hashtags. Tony says, Big Tex, I use barbell, dumbbell, fly. I've been at it.
I like that. It's good movement, bro. Good stuff.
All right. I think we got enough questions. Let's do this segment, and then we'll wrap up and call it a day and go home, get out of here. And I got a lasagna waiting at home for me from my mother. So I would like to eat that, but I can't do that till I leave. So without further ado, mailbag time. Keep getting those questions in using hashtag Chiefs or Super Chatting as we roll along here on this live edition of the Chiefs Report. Mailbag segment begins right now. It is time to drop our bags and touch our sack on this mailbag edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones here with you Thanks for joining us. We got a lot to talk about today. Trade deadline is looming. We have some trade ideas you guys have come up with. We also are talking the latest news and rumors around your Kansas City Chiefs heading into week number 9, that big matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming up on Monday night. We will talk about all of it in just a matter of moments here on today's show. This comes from our live show we do on Tuesday afternoons, where you guys can join us and submit questions to us in real time, and we react to them immediately. So if you want to be a part of our next mailbag show, you need to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you're the first to know when we go live and when we have new content here on the channel. We call those folks the Noti Gang. You heard that right. If you're in the Noti Gang, spam Noti Gang in the comment section. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications for the latest happenings of your Kansas City Chiefs each and every day on the channel. Subscribe now for free. Join the Noti Gang. We'll get started with today's show. Brian with a $5 super chat says, bring in a new left tackle to extend that run. Brian, I think you make some good points as far as that goes. The left tackle position, it's been a struggle. We've been taking a ride on the struggle bus, the short bus, if you will, when it comes to that left tackle position, as Kingsley was not good to start the season. Wanya Morris looked awful against the Las Vegas Raiders, and it's the biggest problem facing this Kansas City Chiefs team right now is what are they going to do when it comes to that left tackle position that's been such a problem right now. And you got a guy like David Bakhtiari who's still sitting out there looking for somewhere to play, and he's kind of hinted at the idea that he wouldn't mind playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe that's the solution, but I got to tell you, I'm looking at this situation, and I sure hope that we're not sitting here come February and saying to ourselves the reason why the Chiefs didn't win the Super Bowl was because they didn't get the help they needed at the left tackle spot. Either they need to figure it out with what they got, or they need to make a move of some sorts, because it has not been pretty at that position. KC Fans for Life has an idea to address the tackle position. Could the Chiefs trade for Walker Little from the Jags? I don't hate that idea. Walker Little, not a bad football player, not very old either. And the question that was asked earlier in the Super Chat was about the run blocking. That is Walker Little's strength. His run block grade so far this year, a 69, nice, with a pass block grade of 56.6, overall grade of 58.3. He's only allowed 1 sack so far this year. That could be a cheap potential solution for Kansas City to help out that situation. I don't hate that idea. Could they do it? Potentially speaking. I wonder about the cap situation and all that. But we've seen Brett Veach do some wizard shit over the last couple of weeks with some of the trades he's been able to pull off. So if anyone could do it, it'd be Brett Veach. So I'm not saying no, but I'm not saying yes either. But it wouldn't be a bad move for Kansas City potentially to bring in Walker Little. Should the Chiefs trade for Walker Little? It is our pinned comment today. You have 2 options here. Type T for trade, P for pass. Weigh in. Let us know if you think they should trade for Walker Little or not. Today's show is sponsored by our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less. Whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, home runs in baseball, all sorts of different categories to choose from. And with Prize Picks, they got a great deal they're offering right now, folks. They will give you $50 to spend for free when you play $5. You don't have to win to get the money, folks. It's that simple. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. This week on Prize Picks, I got Jackson Smith-Njigba, the longest name in the NFL, it seems, with more than 54.5 receiving yards. Also got Jameis Winston to have more than half an interception. I think that's a pretty good guess that Jameis is probably going to throw a pick this week. Play along with me, prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, glad to have them on board here on the Chiefs Report. Check them out. You'll be glad you did. David Buck, which I found out today, no relation to Joe Buck, writes in, what do you believe is the Chiefs' biggest need before the trade deadline? Great question. So the Chiefs have addressed the wide receiver position with D-Hop. They've addressed the edge rusher position with Josh Uche. All right? So they took care of those things. Now you're looking at the offensive line and the corner position. And the offensive line spot is tough because teams usually aren't shopping quality offensive linemen at the deadline. That typically doesn't happen a whole lot. So offensive line is the biggest need, but the easiest to add would likely be the corner position, as there's plenty of corners out there. So we'll see, but that's kind of the situation Kansas City is looking at the moment. Big Red wants to know, would it be possible for the Chiefs to trade for J.C. Horn? Big Red, thanks for the question. Kind of like what we mentioned earlier with Brett Veach. If anybody could pull it off, it'd be Brett Veach. J.C. Horn's on a rookie contract. Very talented football player there with the Carolina Panthers. Already has an interception this season, 9 pass breakups, 34 tackles, 2 TFLs. J.C. Horn's been pretty solid. Go back to 2022, had a really good year that year. 53 tackles, 2 TFLs, 7 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. And you get him out of just that awful situation in Carolina and get him onto this Chiefs team that has such a great defense and in a corner room that could use a little help. I think J.C. Horn's play could elevate quite a bit from what he's doing already in Carolina, where he's not bad. And I don't think you'd have to give up a ton to potentially make that trade. It's really about the money. Can you make the money work? People say the cap is a myth. I think Brett Veach is proving that's true. If you're looking for a corner, that is not a bad option at all. I would love to see J.C. Horn in Kansas City. Should the Chiefs trade for J.C. Horn, it is your chance to be Brett Veach and let us know in the chat. You got 2 options here. You can either type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. That's the only options I'm giving you. Y for yes, in for no. Let me know in the comments section. Got time for a few more questions here. Let's go to Tony the Tiger. Tony from El Paso writing in after getting his workout advice from Big Tex. You know, I don't understand why that most people are taking the blame of Patrick Mahomes that we are winning, and they say he's holding us back. That's BS because he's not holding us back. Tony, that's a great take. You are absolutely right about that. Now, Tony, use some commas next time in your questions to make it a little easier to read, if you would, please. But, Tony, I absolutely 100% agree. It is total BS, this idea that Patrick Mahomes is holding this team back. Have you seen what he's got to work with? I mean, he is making the most with what he has. And people want to point to the interceptions, the turnovers. He hurt Rashee Rice, took him out for the season and all that. All right, folks, listen. Listen to me very closely here. Patrick Mahomes, the reason why he's turned the football over is because he's having to get the most he can out of those guys. And sometimes it results in some mistakes. Think about what happened at Texas Tech. All right? People called him a turnover machine, said he was turnover prone there. Well, yeah, he kind of had to be with how bad that defense was and the lack of talent on that Texas Tech team. And you're seeing similar things here where maybe he's trying a bit too hard to find guys because they're struggling to get open or whatever it may be. So, Tony, you're absolutely right about that. Alex Smith tried saying that he's playing his best football right now. I don't agree on that end of things, but I don't think he's holding this team back either, Tony. Last question from Braxton. Braxton wants to know, who do you think will be the Chiefs' big competition for the playoffs? I think the Baltimore Ravens are certainly interesting. They just brought in Deontay Johnson on Tuesday, and that was the biggest question mark about the Ravens receiving room, about that Ravens team was the receiver room. And now you got better. Zay Flowers has been solid. Obviously, they got some good tight ends with Likely and Mark Andrews. So the Ravens are going to be good. The Texans, I was pretty high on them, but now they lose Diggs for the season. That certainly hurts that team. I think it's those 2 teams in the AFC. I think it's the Ravens and the Texans that are going to be the Chiefs' biggest competition. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. For continuing Chiefs coverage, subscribe now I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time. All right. We are about to sign off. Before we do, a quick reminder. Join us coming up on Monday night for Chiefs and Bucs. Monday Night Football. I'll be here. Big Tex will be here. We'll do an hour-long pregame show. We'll get live about, 6:20 Central Time, I think. That's when we'll go live. And so don't miss out on that. Going to be a great time. We will see you then. Thanks for joining us, folks. For Big Tex, I'm Tyler Jones. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Stay checked into the channel all week long for continuing Chiefs coverage. We got you covered. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.